Hello and welcome to Carlos and Lisa. I'm Lisa Remillard.
And I'm Carlos Amezcua. It's nice to have you with us. You know what? The 2020 election, the season has already arrived in a big way.
Yeah, of course. The president already relaunched his re-election campaign. His opponents are vast.
There's not enough hands. Not enough fingers in my hands and not enough hands to count them all.
So many. He also, by the way, has one Republican challenger and a record 23 Democrat presidential candidates against him.
20 of those Democrats take to the stage tonight and tomorrow night for the first of 12, count them, 12 scheduled primary debates.
Center stage tonight, of course, Senator Elizabeth Warren, former Representative Beto O'Rourke, and tomorrow, former Vice President Joe Biden will stand side by side with Senator Bernie Sanders.
That should be interesting, huh?
Yep. Two nights of it.
The debates are the voters' first chance to get a good look at those people who are running and what they say, what they believe, how they stand on the issues. That are many issues, of course.
And of course, in California, there are a lot of issues that are important to us. And so that's why we invited former four-term California State Assemblyman and now political strategist Mike Gatto here to talk all about it. Hi, Mike.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming in. What do you make of 23 Democrat opponents?
Well, of course, it reflects a lot of energy that exists to challenge President Trump. He's obviously very unpopular among Democrats, very unpopular in certain states, and this reflects the tremendous energy because a lot of these people think this is their best chance to get to the White House.
But like when we had all those Republicans on the stage back in the 2016 election, and they were tearing each other apart, it seemed to be counterproductive. And this is part of the beauty of being on television, watching these people tear each other up. This could also have sort of a negative effect on the Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. You look at this time last year in the Republican primary, everybody thought it would be Jeb Bush, maybe Marco Rubio, maybe Ted Cruz, and this guy named Donald Trump emerged. It's totally possible. Everyone's focusing on Biden and Bernie. It's possible we don't even know who will be the nominee at this point.
So let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about immigration. Do you expect immigration to be a major focus of the debates tonight and tomorrow?
I think so. I think on a lot of these traditional Democratic issues, particularly the ones that the base are clamoring about, including immigration, you're going to see this great pull leftward. Because with 21 candidates, and as one of my friends put it, some of these folks are to the left of Mao. They will be pulling the party leftward. And that is a major theme to watch in these debates. How far left do they pull the party?
A lot of things are at play here. Not only the pulling of the left, we've got some young people moving in that direction, but then we have some kind of the old guard in Bernie and Joe. So how do they play into this, and how do they appeal to the younger voter? I mean, Bernie already does.
Precisely. So that's another thing I was going to talk about is you have this tremendous cleft between the older generations and the young people trying to make their mark on the party. And I think you're going to see in these debates, you're going to see a lot of people attacking Joe Biden in a polite way. They have to be very careful because he's the heir to the Obama legacy. But that is a major, major theme you're going to see in these debates is young versus old.
Is there space for a moderate anymore in this day and age?
You know,
did Trump blow that out of the water?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see much space. I've been in politics for a long time in California and nationally, and I don't see much space in both parties right now for moderates. You see a lot of people who are getting rewarded by followers on Twitter or popularity on the networks. These are the rock throwers, the bomb throwers. These are the people who both parties seem to want right now. I think that's a shame, and I think our country needs to return to some sort of normalcy. It might not happen for another couple of years, though.
What's interesting is all we're talking about is personalities. We're not even talking about issues yet.
Right.
And I think people want to know where these folks stand on issues.
For sure.
And it's clear that there's a lot of fatigue, and I think when I watched the president last night talking about the media, and CNN immediately turned off, and I went to Fox News to see what they were doing. I think there's the issues are getting lost, and that's doing a disservice to the voters.
A tremendous disservice. I mean, I think most voters, as you noted, want to hear about where do these candidates stand on immigration? Where do they stand on the vast gap between rich and poor? Where do they stand on even things as silly as cryptocurrency? You know, Facebook has proposed a world currency, right? But those things tend to get drowned out. When you're having a personality contest and one where there are these broad symbolic themes, people put aside the logic, and I think that's a shame. We need more logic in politics right now.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
You bring up all these interesting issues about new things coming up like cryptocurrency and the issues that people claim they want to hear about. just like they claim they're going to vote for one person or another, and that leads me to polling.
Sure.
The polling last time around, when we were going through this last election, was like, you know, Donald Trump was nowhere near in against Hillary Clinton, nowhere near. She was, you know, going to win, all the polls. And then election day came and something dramatically different happened. So how do we poll correctly this time around?
Yeah,
Is there
sure.
a way?
Excellent question. So pollsters and political scientists refer to that as Bradley effect. It refers to a race where Tom Bradley was running for governor. He was the very popular African-American mayor of Los Angeles. A lot of people said they were going to vote for him, but in the ballot box, there was some perception that some racism took place, and people who had said they were going to vote for Bradley voted for the white guy. The white guy got elected. You could argue that happened last year as well, or last cycle as well, where a lot of people said they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, but in reality, they were Trump supporters. Last time I noticed this too, and I always bumped up his poll numbers by about 2 or 3 raw points because I figured
President Trump?
Yeah,
No,
because
President
I
Trump.
figured that there was a number of people who did not want to admit that they were going to vote for him, but in the privacy of the ballot box, they did vote for him.
Lisa and I were covering that live that night, and we were really stunned by the difference in the results we were getting from some of the key states and what was actually happening. And you know,
The little meter on the New York Times website was like all of a sudden changing the other way. Yeah, it was crazy.
That
Right?
night.
way different.
That leads me to my kind of last point about personality of the voters. I want to switch it around. Trump supporters are small compared to the majority of Americans. However, they are dedicated to him. This subsection of the American population is diehard for him. We've seen them at rallies. They camp out, they wait for him. They would follow him off a cliff.
Sure.
Is there any Democrat in this race at all that pulls that same weight?
Closet poli-sci major, folks. I mean, there's another, excellent point. This is an excellent point. And political scientists refer to this as it's enthusiasm versus numbers, right? And his supporters are way more enthusiastic. And this is something that really matters in an election where, you got to push people to polls and caucuses and things like that. Yeah, it really matters. I think there's a number of candidates who have sparked a little bit of that so far. You could argue that Buttigieg is in that category. You could argue that Warren's followers are very enthusiastic, but I just don't think there's enough clarity at this point. With 21 candidates and each of them polling 5, 10 points, who knows?
But interesting, you just described Barack Obama at the beginning of his political career, because that's exactly what happened to him. And everyone got excited about him. So let's kind of wrap this part of our discussion up with who is the ex-president going to get behind, because his endorsement is going to mean a lot to this candidate.
For sure. I think he's got to back Joe Biden. Joe Biden was with him for 8 years. They were a really good team. They did have a really sort of a bromance going on.
Total bromance.
So I think he's got to go with Joe Biden.
And now, in your opinion, I know it's early, and I know we're going to have a lot of discussions about this, so I'm going to hold you to it.
Oh, boy.
Who is your front runner? Who do you look at tonight and tomorrow?
So I think Joe Biden does something bold. I think he pulls a page from Ronald Reagan's playbook. Ronald Reagan in his losing run. In 1976, Ronald Reagan came out early and he said, I am going to pick my vice presidential choice early so you know our ticket before you have to nominate me as your choice. Now, he still lost to Gerald Ford. But I think Biden comes out and he says, I'm picking my vice presidential choice early. I'm only going to serve 1 term. And I think that calms down everybody else, and all these people who are in this 21-person field, they start thinking about 2024.
Who does he pick?
I like Stacey Abrams in Georgia. I mean, she's somebody who I think would be a great vice presidential choice and a great president. So, I mean, that's somebody, who knows? I mean, I always joke there could be some attorney general in a state that we haven't even heard of right now who could be elected. And just remember how much Barack Obama was polling at
And
this
Mike
stage.
Pence was a complete surprise, too.
That's right.
All right. Mike, thank you so much for your expertise in this. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Great to
And,
be
of
here.
course, we'll be watching these debates along with you.
Right here on BeondTV.